Howdy folks, and welcome to Mingles with Jingles. Hope you've all had a good weekend. I haven't. It's been a bit of a bugger of a day today. We had a bit of a power surge which tripped all of our fuses. Right in the middle of doing this episode of Mingles with Jingles. Of course, nothing had been saved, so I had to start again from scratch. It turns out that what actually caused the fuses to trip was that the monitor on Rita's computer has got the weirdest power socket I have ever seen. It actually looks more like a digital camera power pack lead. Well, anyway, long story short, that thing went. It took us a while to figure out what the actual cause of the problem was, which ended up with Rita having a monitor that we hope is fine, but we won't know for sure until a replacement power lead arrives. So in the meantime, we've had to take a monitor that we were using for something else, substitute that so Rita can actually use a PC. Then I started on this episode of Mingles with Jingles again, got about halfway through, and then my PC crashed for no apparently good reason. And when it booted back up again, the crash had caused some bad sectors on the hard disk, so I had to scan the drive, repair the bad sectors, and of course it had corrupted everything. In that attempted recording of an episode of Mingles with Jingles, by the time everything was sorted out, it was just far too late at night. Hence this extremely short episode of Mingles with Jingles. There has been some good news out of this weekend though. I did manage to get another model painted. This thing. Yes, it's an M3 Lee. Yes, I know, I hate the M3 Lee. I'm actually quite famous for hating the M3 Lee, but it's okay, there's a method to my madness. This isn't my M3 Lee, this belongs to Rita. There's something wrong with her, she thinks this thing's amazing. I don't know what make of kit this is. Rita made this well over a year ago, and she actually did a pretty good job of putting it together. And because I don't just want to be painting Space Marines and Warhammer 40k stuff, I want to do model tanks, aircraft and ships as well. I thought I could probably use some practice in painting and weathering model aircraft, ships and tanks, and what better place to start than on something I really don't give much of a shit about. and so here we are. Before we start, and I'm not going to be spending an awful lot of time on this, not like last week's episode of Mingles with Jingles. There will be a video on the painting and weathering process of this coming at some point in the near future. But I've never painted a model tank before. Although I've watched plenty of YouTube videos on the various different processes and techniques involved in not just painting the thing, but also weathering it, and trying to make it look a bit more realistic and used. And I think I did okay. It's certainly given me a bit more confidence about trying more of this sort of thing. And I'm not just painting the tank. I mean, well, I am. So far that's all I've done. But because I'm not collecting, assembling and painting these things in order to play tabletop games with them, same goes for the Warhammer 40,000 stuff, I'm collecting them to display them. So what I want to do with this is take my first stab at building a diorama around it as well. Again, something that I've never done, but it doesn't look that difficult, and I'm pretty confident I can at least try. So this M3 Lee will be going into the first model diorama I've ever built. Over Christmas we bought a whole bunch of cheeses, and for some reason they all seem to come with their own cheese boards. And these cheese boards are the perfect size and shape for a single tank diorama base. So I'm just waiting on some supplies, some modelling putty, things like that, and I'm going to extend this further by building some kind of diorama around it. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet, but, well, I'm open to suggestions. Anyway. So yeah, the weekend wasn't a total bust. I did manage to get this done. Well, anyway, before I love you and leave you, there is one other little story that I wanted to tell you. It's something of a confession, actually. It wasn't that long ago when I used to have a semi-regular feature in Mingles with Jingles that I like to think of as dumb shit that Rita said or did. But it's been a really long time since she said or did anything stupid enough and funny enough to be worth mentioning. And this week was no exception, so we're going to have to look elsewhere for stories of dumb shit that people have done. Early last week, I can't remember if it was Monday or Tuesday, our friend James came down to visit for the first time in ages. So we decided we were going to go out and have lunch, and then we were going to do a tour of the local model and hobby shops, because James also into his scale model building. Or at least that was the plan, until James arrived, and we were all set to jump into his car and head out, when I realised I couldn't find my wallet. As you can imagine, if you're planning on buying lunch and then spending money in various different model shops, a wallet is a very useful thing to have. Now, I only ever have my wallet in one of three places. It's either in the back pocket of my jeans, or it's on my work desk, or it's on my bedside table. And it was in none of these three locations. So with Rita and James, very patiently I have to admit, waiting outside for me, I searched the house from top to bottom, and I eventually found it on the kitchen bench, because, where else would it be? And that's when I remembered, actually, a couple of days earlier, a aerosol spray can of matte varnish had arrived. And because it's A, a solvent, and B, an aerosol, I had to show photo ID with proof of birth. Despite the fact that I look like I'm 70 years old, they still had to see documented proof that I was old enough to accept delivery of a spray can of matte varnish. So that's why the wallet was downstairs in the kitchen, because I'd collected the parcel at the door, gone into the kitchen to open the package, put the wallet down on the bench and left it there for 3 days without realising that's where it was. So anyway, problem solved. I've got my wallet. Well, not exactly, because I got my wallet, but I don't actually have any money in it, because I pay for everything on my debit card, and the debit card wasn't in the wallet. Why is your debit card not in your wallet, Jingles? I mean, isn't that what your wallet is for? Well, yeah, kind of used to be, but then at Christmas, Rita bought me a debit card holder, and I've been using that. It's actually really useful. It's got a money clip on the back as well. And that's where all the money was. That's why there was no money in the wallet. Oh, God. So where's the debit card holder? Well, I keep my debit card holder in one of three places. It's either in the back pocket of my jeans, it's on my work desk, or it's on my bedside table. And it wasn't in any of those three places. Shit. Well, at this point, James and Rita's patience was starting to wear thin. I mean, it was getting pretty embarrassing. So James just said, look, I'll pay for lunch. It's on me this time. You paid for it last time anyway, so whatever. Just let's go. So off we went. We had a great lunch. There's a Portuguese place in Southsea that does really good food. So we had lunch there. And then we went on a tour of all the local model and hobby shops. And there was all kinds of things that I'd love to have been able to buy, but I couldn't because I didn't have my wallet. Well, I had my wallet, but I didn't have my debit card or any money. So, and without the debit card, there was no way of getting any money. So, yeah, it was all a bit embarrassing. But we had a good day. And then James dropped us off at home, and then he went home himself. So now I've got to find that debit card, because if I can't find it, I'm going to have to call up the bank and get it cancelled. And you know that the second you do that, you find the debit card 10 minutes later. So, first place to look, bedside table. If it's not on the bedside table, it might have fallen down behind the bedside table, it might be up against the wall, it might be under the bed. So, get down on my hands and knees. Rita starts giggling uncontrollably. I mean, like a schoolgirl. I'm like, look, this isn't funny, you know. What's that in your back pocket, she says. I've got two back pockets on my jeans. There's the one on the right, which is where my wallet usually lives. You'll never guess what was in the left one. Yeah, I'd been sitting on the debit card holder the whole fucking day. Oh my God. So, good news, I found the debit card. Bad news, this entire week, every time I've asked Rita where something is, she comes back with the same smart-ass answer. Rita, where's your camera? Have you checked your back pocket? Man, it sucks to be me. And on that bombshell, I really need to put this video to bed, and then put myself to bed, because it is shockingly late. Anyway, I hope you've all enjoyed your weekend. I hope you've had a better one than me. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.